Have you ever felt overwhelmed with all that's going on in the world? Sometimes we don't realize that we can make a difference. My name is Debbie Van Grieken, and it is my hope to inspire you to take small steps towards social impact. Join us each week as we have conversations with those who have taken simple steps towards living a more sustainable and socially conscious lifestyle. If you want to make social impact, let's start small. The Small Steps podcast is proudly sponsored by Moya Shea Products. As a listener, enjoy 15% off your online purchase. Use code SMALLSTEPS15 at checkout. At Moya, we believe in people helping people. Supporting the local and global communities that help our organization succeed is very important to us. We apply a fair trade framework when purchasing raw materials, supporting farmers and families. Thinking global and acting local, Moya works with organizations to better the lives of children through education and fair trade. Are you looking for the best moisturizer for beautiful, healthy, glowing skin? Our Shea products are superb moisturizers and have exceptional healing properties for those suffering from skin issues. Check out these products and our wellness line at moyasheabutter.com. We're so excited to have Krista Jefferson join us today. Krista is a wife, a mother, a photographer, a traveler, a reader, and a lover of life. Krista founded Just One, an organization that sees artisans in developing countries using their skills to provide for their families, support their communities, and conquer poverty. Through your purchases, you're helping provide dignified income opportunities for world-changing fashion. They can be found at shopjustone.com, and we're so happy to have her here. Thanks so much, Krista, for being with us today.
Oh, happy to be here.
It's such a beautiful day here in Ontario. The fall colors are out and the sun's shining.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. It is just, I'm thinking this might be the last beautiful fall day.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've been so busy, you probably haven't even been able to enjoy it. You are in the process of moving your retail store to another location. So you must be really busy, but we're really wanting to hear about this business of yours, Just One. It's so amazing. Could you share with us how you kind of got started and what your business is about?
Sure. So Just One is a business we started in 2012, and it was not on my radar at all. I was a photographer for over 10 years, and I just started feeling a little restless. Like I wanted to find a way to give back, to make a difference. And I had no idea what that would look like. And so as a person of faith, I prayed simply, God, use my camera. This is what I have. This is what's in my hands. And one thing led to another, which led me winning a photography contest that sent me to Uganda. And I always joke that I love to travel, and I love it even more when somebody else pays for it.
Absolutely.
So, I had always wanted to visit somewhere in Africa, and this was a great first experience. And while there, I bought a necklace as a souvenir and thought nothing of it. But I also, while there, had photographed and documented stories of incredible women in particular. And, you come home with a head full of, what do I do now with all this knowledge and everything that I've seen? What is my next step? And the souvenir necklace I bought myself never registered to me that it would be anything more than a souvenir. But then everywhere I went, people would ask me, what a cool necklace. Where did you get it from? And so I threw it on my photography blog, gave people 2 weeks to purchase a necklace if interested. And at the end of the 2 weeks, we had sold over 200 necklaces.
Oh my goodness.
And so I'm
one simple post of a necklace. That's amazing.
Exactly. But it was just such a unique piece that people loved it. And then from there, I thought, here's a way to support these artisans ongoing in a dignified manner. And so that's what we do today is we work with artisan groups in Kenya and Uganda. And we design beautiful pieces, either mostly fashion, but also some housewares that people will love. And it's a way for the artisans to earn an income, a fair wage. And then in our retail store, we started carrying other brands like Moya Shea and just a very few others that have a similar mission. And we want people to feel great about their purchases, knowing that not only is it good quality and beautiful, but it's making a difference.
That's so amazing. And, I think our supporters and our followers get so inspired by these stories. but they sometimes feel overwhelmed and don't realize the important role that they can play in a more fair and just world. Simply by purchasing from you and supporting businesses like us who, pay fair wages and use sustainable business practices. So, the consumer is actually so important in this story. They're the whole reason that people are being supported in other countries.
Absolutely. I always say if it was just me buying the necklaces, I would have an angry husband and like a room full of like boxes of products. But we need that piece of the people purchasing it and telling other people about Just One, sharing about us. However it is that you support us, it doesn't always have to be dollars. It can also be word of mouth. It can be encouragement.
Sharing posts.
Yeah. And by doing that, you're making a difference. And that's part of our name, Just One, is that we're each just one person, but by the actions we take, the choices we make, it can make a world of difference.
Yeah, and that's why I really wanted to have you as a guest, because small steps, and you can just see from that one small step of putting on, a post about one necklace, and then all of a sudden getting 250 orders, and then that snowballing to what you're doing now, which is supporting so many people. And you actually have a retail store, so you're providing jobs locally as well. Just absolutely amazing. Why don't you share with us a little bit of some of the things that, because of this business, we have similar values, and I know that this has led us on a journey to kind of discover simple ways we can change in our own daily lives to make a difference. So what are some of the things that you've done, either you or your family has done, to kind of make some of these changes?
Sure. When I started Just One, looking back now, I realized how little I knew and understood. And so I have definitely learned, and I have so much more to learn. So even some things as simple as we have now made the commitment, we don't bring anything on our trips. We buy everything in country, where we used to bring gifts and things that we would send over there. And so as a family, when we look at ways to give to different organizations or to make a difference, we try to find ways now that we could do it where they're purchasing in their own country to support local businesses. So it's been able to get creative that way. But on a more day-to-day basis, probably the biggest one our family has done is try to move to thrifting and secondhand shopping as our main source of clothes and house goods. And so we try to shop, if it's not secondhand, it's artisan made. And I mean, obviously, sometimes you just can't. I'm not going to buy secondhand underwear, but
some things,
but that's I've always loved thrifting. I love the joy of the hunt and what can I find and looking for unique pieces, but realizing that this is also a way to shop ethically. Yeah. I have 3 daughters. 2 are teenagers and 1 is 6. So, and I find that they understand it as well, as that this is a way of reusing and being better for the environment. And they're proud of it. I saw one of my girls just yesterday posted something where she's like, this outfit's thrifted, hashtag fast fashion sucks, and just learning that way, right? About slow fashion and making things last longer and mending things, trying to do that. I mean, I have a long way to go, but that's a simple step that we've taken, even setting up this new store. In our retail spaces, we try to use mainly recycled, repurposed furniture for our displays, because most of our jewelry are made from recycled materials. And so we want to keep that as a value to be environmentally friendly. So those are some simple things.
That's great. Yeah, and you mentioned a few things in there. Yeah, I'd like to unpack a couple of those things. One that was really interesting, and I've dealt with this myself too, is when you're going into other countries, particularly developing countries, a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of church groups, things like that, they really want to be helpful, and they think that bringing these gifts and bringing all this stuff will help, but it actually can have a hindrance. So when you were talking about, buying stuff in country, that's so important. It's really to help their economy by buying the stuff there. So, I think that that's something really important. I know a lot of people, especially as the holidays are coming up, and they want to support organizations that that give in these countries. And I'm not saying not to do that. I still think it's great, but I think that you need to really think about where you're supporting and what options there are in order for that to be played out in a really positive way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a big learning curve for us. And it's something we continue to learn. I know a couple of years ago, we took our older daughters with us, and they really wanted to do something, to bring something to, if we visit people here, we'd often bring a gift. And so they wanted to bring a gift to do something. And I said, I've made this commitment. We don't bring things anymore. And so instead they raised funds for education. And then when we were there, instead of us saying, this is what you need for your kids' education, what we did was we gave each artisan a set amount per child. And we said, use it how you see fit for your child's education. And so we went shopping with them, and we saw how they agonized over right down to the last penny. So some of them bought shoes for the school uniform. Some of them bought books. Some bought backpacks. There was things I would never have thought of, where if I had done a campaign here in Canada and said, we're raising money for every child to have a backpack. Well, not every child needed a backpack. And sometimes that also is another way to strip the dignity from the parents, is this was the parents going out and shopping and saying, like, I know what my child needs. It was actually really fun. It was a full day of doing this school shopping. It was a long day, but they really wanted to spend their money wisely. And I think that made a lasting impact on my own daughters too.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so important. I think that's one of the great things about fair trade companies and businesses is it really is about the artisan or the farmer. It's really driven by their needs. They are the ones that give us that input. So instead of us going in and saying, hey, you got to do this, or you got to do that, or you need this, you need that, they're really saying, listen, with the money that you're giving us in fair wages and that extra premium, that's going to this, and it's going to go to that. And I had a similar experience with the farmers I work with. They came to me and they said, we have an issue here with trees that are getting chopped down. And of course, shea comes from the fruit of a shea tree. So they needed to protect that environment for future generations. And they said, we know that there is technology available that will take agricultural waste and make it into charcoal for our cooking, and we can save the trees, but we need help with this machine. So instead of me coming in and saying, oh, I think you need a specific oven, or I think you need more money into education, I really listened and said, okay, we're going to raise money for a charcoal machine. That's what you need. That's what you want. We're going to help you with that. So I think it's really important to have that conversation, and for customers to understand that when they're helping support businesses like that, that they are really seeing the whole picture, the big picture here. It's not like corporations going in and taking resources. And, there is a huge giving back element with social enterprises like us. So it's really important for consumers to hear these stories. It's wonderful. But just getting back to your girls, I know that you've just been such an amazing role model for them, and I know they teach you too. Believe me, I am getting learning experiences from my kids as well. As I feel like this younger generation seems to have a better handle on some of these things, and I'm learning something new every day, which is great. You touched about how you're thrifting and you're doing things like that. As you're moving into the holidays, is there anything in particular that you as a family are doing as well?
Yeah, oftentimes with Christmas, what we do is things are to be thrifted, or we try to do an experience gift. And so give the gift of memories instead of just stuff. So that's always the big present. So we've done things, because we have a big age range in our girls, it's a little harder, but like last year we did, we gave the gift, we all went to the Ripley's Aquarium in Toronto. Or we've done, things like that where we do something. So that's usually our big gift. But then we do, sometimes it's thrifted, handmade, or something you own. maybe there's something that's really special that you have that the other person would love. And so just taking away that it has to be store-bought, that it has to have that, price tag still attached to it. And so our kids have grown up with that. And so that's really normal for them. As Christmas comes, it's often, what are we making so-and-so, or, and starting to think very creatively that way. And so that's something we try to encourage. Some of my favorite gifts have been things that have either been thrifted or made. And I think of one gift my sister gave me. She knows I love Nelson Mandela. And so she found a Nelson Mandela biography, a beautiful one with photos. Years back, my dad had worked in South Africa during Mandela's election and brought us home election posters as our souvenirs. And we have this amazing one she has. And so she got a copy of it and plaqued it for me. And it was such a beautiful gift, so unique. So those, that was 5-6 years ago she gave that to me, and I can still remember it. Where something bought from a store, I can't always remember the next year what somebody gave me. And so we really try to encourage that as not just stuff. And even the last couple of years, our oldest daughter, she's working now, so she's buying her own gifts, and she's bought us where my husband and I and her went and did pottery together. She bought us like a pottery class, and that was so special to have that time together. And so we try to do things like that, is always encourage memory building. And yes, those are some ways as a family.
Yeah, some of the things I'm working on now, because I'm now starting to buy for young kids again. And now we're on to the next generation. I'm expecting grandbaby number 2. So it's a little crazy. But so what I kind of look at it is, a friend of mine once said to me, when you're thinking of Christmas, think E.L.F. So happens to be one of our favorite Christmas movies as well. But it actually, E.L.F. stands for environmental. So it has to be something that's eco. L was for local. So if you could buy something that was from a local store. And then F was fair trade. So if it had, one of those elements, or if you could get all 3, that was even like the best thing. So that's something that I try to implement now as I'm looking for gifts for the young ones in our family.
This past weekend, I know I was out at a craft store with my sister and mom, and we were talking too about how we hear so much nowadays about small business, and about how, and we know, you and I, Deb, small businesses, it's a hard year for us. And instead of just talking about it, my sister's like, she's trying to buy everything from small businesses. So she's like, I know I might spend a little more than I typically do, but I want to support this individual and this person. And so I know that's something as a larger family that we've been talking about too, is trying to look at small businesses that we can support. And, the different makers we know, anytime we see like an artisan made or friends starting a company, how can we support that? Trying to move more towards, I love on social media, I've seen more people posting saying, Christmas is coming, I want to buy from small businesses, share your favorite small business here. And and share your favorite ethical companies, share your favorite artisan made. And I love that there's a movement towards that. And 2020 has been terrible for a lot of things, but maybe it has woken us up to the need to support small. And
yeah, I think that is definitely something that we're seeing happen. I think it's wonderful. But yeah, COVID has hit hard. It's hit a lot of businesses hard. We're finding that small businesses are having to pivot and navigate a lot of these changes. And we both are in that similar position, but maybe you can share with us how you've been able to pivot without compromising those values that you have.
Yeah. COVID definitely, especially those months where we all had to just shut down, and we were like, so I can still remember right before COVID hit. Well, first of all, we had, for some reason, we usually visit once a year, the artisans in Africa, and we usually go around March. But this year, for some reason, we decided to go in February, and we're so glad because we were still able to do our trip.
Oh, sure. Rub it in, because I was
sorry. I know. I feel so bad. We have so many friends who had to cancel, but we were able to go just weeks before everything shut down. But right before it shut down, my coworker and myself were just we were dreaming big, and we were like, we're going to do this and, this plan and this. And it was literally days later when we're like, and we're shutting down, and we're, going to have to let you go. And, we're so glad that she's back with us again. But it was just such a time of uncertainty. But things that we're very grateful for was that's also the time some larger organizations we work with, World Vision, were placing their Christmas orders for their gift catalog. And so the artisans where I wasn't able to provide orders at that time, World Vision or some of those organizations were able to place their orders for Christmas. So the artisans were able to still work during that time. And so that was really great. We tried to move more to doing some online, like getting out of my comfort zone and doing some live stuff on Instagram and some live sales and such. And just learning how to navigate a world where things might not be what we have known, a retail store, trade shows, or all those in-person events. And if we want to support the artisans ongoing, it means we have to be willing to adapt. And so, moving more and more towards online, which we've always been online, but just finding new ways to engage that way helped us through COVID as well.
That's great. That's really good. Just as before we wrap up things, I'd love to know some of your more ethical swaps, maybe something that you've even brought into the store or anything that would replace something that's maybe not quite as ethical or eco or
Yeah. As we learn, right? One thing that have learned a lot about is chocolate. And, Christmas is all about the sweets. And next week here is Halloween. And so chocolate is on the mind. So that was one of the few brands we did bring in, was we did some research on companies, and we found one that we love called Peace by Chocolate, Peace, P-E-A-C-E. And they're an amazing organization built up by Syrian refugees. And so they had made chocolate for 30 years in Syria, but their factory was bombed. They had to flee. And after a few years in Canada, they've established an incredible business. And so that is one swap, is trying to buy more ethical chocolate. And even sometimes, I could go to the mall and get a necklace very inexpensively. The question I always ask my kids is like, well, if you only paid $5 for it, $2 for it, how much was the person paid who made that necklace? Obviously, we love to promote, our own jewelry, but that's, just the prices might be just a little bit more. We do try to keep them really reasonable, but it is that finding other companies where you can feel good about purchasing from them.
What I really love about your jewelry and stuff too is everything has a story. The artisan that made it, and many of your pieces have pictures of the artisan, or signatures from the artisans, or little cards with their story. And I think it's so amazing to receive a gift like that, and to have it means so much more than just something that's mass produced. I know I've got my eye on a couple of pieces in your store, the heart necklace being one of them for sure. But if people want to purchase from you this season, what's the best way for them to do that if they can't get into your store? And tell us about where you're moving to as well.
Sure. So the physical store is in Caledonia. The address is 18 Argyle Street. So if you are out for a weekend drive and want to visit a sweet little small town, we're right by the river. We're between the town bakery, Jones Bakery, which has been there like over 100 years, and the bridge, the river. So it's a cute little spot there. So you can find us there, or you can find us online at shopjustone.com. Or on Instagram, Facebook, it's also Shop Just One. So, and for your listeners, if they use the promo code MOYA, MOYAA, they'll receive 15% discount as well. And we'll do that until the end of the calendar year.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh, I think that's a pretty good deal. And I think with the holidays coming up, we'll hopefully get some people checking that out for sure. Well, I really want to say thanks for joining me today and giving us your time. I know you're super busy, and so I really appreciate that. And we hope that you have a wonderful move into your new location and that things go well and that you have a great holiday season, because I know that if we can all get out there and support these small businesses, they'll be here for 2021, and they'll be doing more than just helping our own little communities. They'll be helping the global community as well. So thanks so much for everything that you do, Krista. You're an inspiration, and I'm so happy to know you.
Oh, thanks, Deb. The feeling's mutual.
Thank you for listening to Start Small. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found a small step you can take today. Make sure you share it with a friend. And if you have not done so yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you are enjoying this podcast, consider taking a moment and leaving us an honest review in your Apple podcasting app so more people can be inspired to take small steps towards social impact.